All right, my people, I want you all to watch this video. Comrade show don come out come break silent concerning this Ijaw matter when e dey trend for social media. Una go watch this video make una hear everything wey Comrade show come out come talk concerning this matter. I believe say many people wey dey no know dis Comrade show, na dis one be machinery, those na dem be machinery wey dey bring Obaseki to power for second term. Make una just watch dis video, very interesting video. No fit to share and leave your comment for comment section. God bless you as you do so. Subscribe if you never subscribe.
Because
Like.
fire go burn
Bye.
Benin because of fellow Amos for water. Oh, he won't give warning to Amos for water community. Not for our trouble. Oh, the governor of Edo State. Call Amos for water community. Go your palace. Go one and say leave Gelegele people before fire go burn Benin because of fellow Amos for water. Oh, now one I get for Amos with that. Everybody fire. Yeah.
We are therefore using this medium to state unequivocally that the Ijaws are not constitutionally recognized as among the ethnic groups in Edo State. They are strangers and settlers.
There be Benin people, will be Ijaw people, not two different things. So maybe they're not going to tell us, say, Gelegele people, they not get, oh yeah, Gelegele people, they be tenant, Ikoro people, they be tenant, Ijaw people, they be settler for Edo State, for our own God-given land.
We're not they represented in local government. Appointment, they're not they give our Ijaw people for Edo State. So House of Assembly, we're not the local government, we're not the Senate, we're not the rep, we're not the state government know waiting the Ijaw people need. But
Ada Otedo, Ada Otedo, Atuba Atin, Alalokwa, Oba Atotbe.
We are here today as a people, as the Ijaw people in Olodiama Kingdom, comprises of Gelegele, Ekewa, Igboro, Beloba, Inikroa, and Ikoro, the headquarter of Olodiama Kingdom.
Okay, guys, yes, drums of war everywhere. The area in contest is Gelegele and environs. And the settlers in that area are Ijaws. And if you watch my caption, I've said the Ijaws of Gelegele area in Edo State are settlers in the land. And I make bold to say that because I follow this matter very closely. The matter has been raging. Asari Dokubo has tried to weaponize this matter, and agitations from the Ijaws in the areas or around Gelegele, have also, been beating the drums of war. And of course, in response, many Benin patriots have also come out to say, look, if you want to drum, the drum of war, the Benin are not going to run. However, it is important that because Edo State is within the sovereign territory of Nigeria, which, no matter how things are, the country Nigeria is still governed by laws. There are existing court judgments that have already rested this matter. The matter has gone through the High Court, through the Appeal Court, and of course, it's been to the Supreme Court. Many people are not aware. And this matter is not just a matter that started just now, except that the noise and the drums of war of this matter is just getting louder now. A lot of people inside out, have been influenced, bribed, whatever, to speak from all sides of their mouth. But look, let us, put pay to this matter by revealing the inside truth concerning this matter. Because the optics are not looking good, which is why I also like to make my own intervention as far as this matter is concerned. Now, I want to look at this matter from the position of law vis-a-vis existing court judgments, as well as common sense, so that overall, we will all have peace as far as Edo State is concerned. Why am I saying this? I make bold to say that almost every human being alive today was not born when the Ijaws started living in that area as settlers. I must be very, very clear on that. When they started living in that Gelegele region as settlers, because it's a riverine area. Now, having settled there over the course of so many years, probably running into centuries, does it therefore make it their land? I'm sure not. But we are going to look into all of those physics, as it were. That said, like I said earlier, this matter did not just begin from 2026 or 2025. It's a matter that's been on even before many of us alive today, were born. And of course, I want to take us through, first and foremost, the position of Supreme Court on this matter. In the first place, I'd like to start, okay? What you are seeing right now is the Supreme Court judgment, which finally put paid, and laid this matter to rest. But I'm going to want to break the Supreme Court judgment into, different paragraphs. I mean, there are three very important paragraphs that already speak to this matter and rested this matter. I will try to now go into the matter, to try to even define it even further. Okay? Now, first and foremost, this judgment, this is the first line of this judgment. That's the Supreme Court case on Gelegele was suit number SC 131 1982, delivered on August 19th, 1983 by Justice Muhammadu Lawa Wise, CJN, and 4 other justices. Now, that's to, provide an umbrella so that we know where this Supreme Court judgment is coming from. This has, since the early 80s, right? Now, this is the first paragraph of the judgment. The first paragraph of the judgment. Here it says, ownership. This is what the judgment said. You can read with me. Ownership. 1. Ownership. The Supreme Court upheld the decision of the High Court and Court of Appeal and affirmed the ownership claim of the Benin plaintiffs over the disputed Gelegele land. Not just one land, it's a land. The High Court judgment of December 22nd, 1978 stated Gelegele village and its environs and bushes are Benin land. They do not belong to the Ijaws of Gelegele as owners. Now, what this is clearly trying to define for us is that in 1978, when the High Court judgment ruled that the land inhabited currently by the Ijaws of Gelegele, the land, it didn't just say one land, the land and the environs all around that river area where they inhabit, the High Court ruled that those lands belong to the Benins. Is that, if you look at it now, the last sentence of that, I said the High Court on judgment of December 22nd, 1978 had stated that Gelegele village and its environs and bushes are Benin land. They do not belong to the Ijaws of Gelegele as owners. Now, this is very, very important because the reason why I stress this, that the lands, the environs, and everywhere all around there belongs to the Benin and not to the settlers, who live there. I'm going to come to that later, okay? Because there's another area where the argument in question needs to, be properly understood so that we understand that this covers all of that in its entirety. And that is one. Now, the second one is this. The second one is this. Let me take this one off. Ownership. Okay, I've dealt with ownership before now. Okay. Now, we now move to the second one. Number 2, status of Ijaw residents. The Supreme Court judgment described Ijaws of Gelegele and adjoining communities as tenants, occupying a portion of land vested in the traditional authority of the Oba of Benin. The High Court also held the Ijaws are tenants of His Highness Akenswa II, the Oba of Benin. They are tenants. They are tenants. Take note of this. The status of the Ijaw residents, right? That the Supreme Court judgment described the Ijaws in Gelegele and the adjoining communities as tenants. Now, this is very important. The Supreme Court described them, they just living in Gelegele and the adjoining communities as tenants, as the land actually belongs to the Benins. And at that time, the Oba of Benin, Oba Akenswa II, was on throne when this was happening. Now, so when some of us further go ahead now, having looked at all of these and see there are settlers there, there are tenants there. Now, we are not making a mistake. Now, let us look at the third paragraph of this judgment. Let's look at the third paragraph of this judgment. Number 3, outcome. He said the court dismissed the appeal brought on behalf of the Ijaw inhabitants of the Gelegele community and awarded costs against them. Now, background to the case, the dispute went through 3 levels. The High Court, suit number B44, 1970, judgment 22nd, 1978 in favor of Benin. Appeal Court, Court of Appeal Benin, suit number FCA B8280, judgment on December 16, 1981 in favor of Benin. Supreme Court suit number LC 131, 1982, judgment August 19, 1983, upheld court in favor of Benin. Now, at the end of the day, the court already, the appeal court, the Supreme Court already settled this matter, having referred to the High Court, the appeal court, and of course upheld the judgments from those, from the appellate court and of course the High Court. Now, what was the dispute? Let's look at the dispute, but it's part of this whole process. So if we understand the dispute, we will understand how relevant this judgment is. Now, this is the dispute. What both sides say about it. The Benin groups cite the judgment as final proof that Gelegele belongs to Benin Kingdom under the Oba of Benin. The Ijaw groups, IPDR, argue the judgment only referred to an unidentified piece of or parcel of farmland and did not confirm ownership of Gelegele community lands on Benin people. They say the case was between Uroton and Gelegele and did not challenge the existence of Gelegele Benin community. Now, for those who want to understand this, according to those that represented the Ijaws, they try to argue that this Supreme Court judgment only related to a parcel of land or a part of farmland, not the entirety of that region. But when we cited, I think paragraph 2 of the judgment earlier, this is the paragraph 1, it said the Supreme Court upheld the decision of the appeal court, affirmed the ownership claim of the Benin plaintiff over the disputed Gelegele lands. I used that earlier, lands. Now, in the second, paragraph, said the status. He said the Supreme Court judgment described the Ijaws of Gelegele and adjoining communities. So whether Gelegele, Gbenel, Gelegele Ugoto, Gelegele, whatever, all of that communities at all, this judgment already affirmed that they belong to the Benins, and of course under the custodian of the Oba of Benin. And at the time the judgment was given, Oba Akenswa was on throne. Now, importantly, I want us to look at what is the meaning of a settler? In this case, the tenant. What is the meaning? What does this imply right now in present day term? Because importantly, we need to also try to find a way to restore peace, because there's nothing to be argued about. In another 100 years, everybody agitating right now, making one case or the other over this matter in dispute. In another 100 years, it's very likely that nobody will be alive. You understand what I'm saying now? And this matter would have passed to other generations and everything. But records have to show, who owns the land. I'm not sure that the Oba of Benin and of course the Benis are asking the Ijaws to leave the Gelegele area right now. Nobody's asking anybody. As a matter of fact, it is just a point of recognizing that you guys came to inhabit this place. You are not the owners of this place. You understand? And this is very important for the records. Now, I just did a little search. I asked, I asked Google, what is the meaning of a settler as referred to in this particular case, under this particular condition. And this is what, Google said. It said a settler is a person who moves to a new area or country to live there permanently, often building homes, farming the land, or establishing a new town. A settler is a person, or settlers are people like the Ijaws, who move to a new area or country to live there permanently, or often building homes, farming the land, or establishing a new town. That is a settler. And if you look at this definition right now, this definition aptly describes the condition of the Ijaws as we speak currently, as settlers in the land. Now, this is hurting them, I understand, and that's why they are making these agitations. Okay. Now, if you listen to the video I played earlier, I compiled just put some few videos together, because there's an array of videos online of agitations and threats and warnings here and there, over this, particular matter. Whether the agitation rages from now to tomorrow does not exclude the fact. And the fact, within the confines of the territorial integrity of Nigeria today, the sovereign nation of Nigeria today, the fact is that the Ijaws of Gelegele and its environs in Edo State are settlers in the land. The Supreme Court described them as tenants to the Oba of Benin. Now, this must be understood very clearly. Now, like I said, is the Oba or the Benis asking them to leave? No, I'm not sure that is the case at the moment. Right. Now, do they also have a valid point that, because one of them made a case that they are not in the House of Assembly, they are not represented in government, they are not anywhere, they are just there. You understand the picture from I'm saying that? Now, I think that they may have a case there, but that is a case they have to lobby and pursue, with reasoning, with a sense of accommodation, not with this kind of mutiny, not with this kind of disorderliness, not with this kind of threat that they are pushing through, because the agitation right now is misplaced. It's very, very much misplaced. They must lobby, okay, to see that there's a consideration for that particular community and that area and that environment to also be given political, relevance, so to speak, not by force. That has to be what's it called, under the prerogative of government. But to say that as a settler in parts of Benin land makes you owner of the land, becomes a huge problem that it just cannot win, no matter how they argue, no matter how they fight. Now, I am not making this video to berate the Ijaws or, to make anybody look less than, less than a human being. No, not at all. You understand what I'm saying now? But we're just stating the facts. Now, the other part of it that we must, also address with reasoning. I also try to do a bit of research, and I discovered that in fact, almost all of the states that have rivers all along have Ijaw settlers in them. There are Ijaw settlers in Ondo State. There are Ijaw settlers everywhere as far as the coastal part of Nigeria is concerned. So there are Ijaw settlers everywhere. You understand? And it is part of the problem that as a nation we are even facing right now with all of these nomadic Fulanis. They don't have a home. Okay, they just move with their, cows everywhere. And because life has advanced beyond the kind of life that they are used to, like that, it's that creative friction. Now, I tell you a personal story. When I was growing up in my own village, I don't want to mention my village, but I don't know if this story is going to offend some of the elders there. As a teenager, we had Ago. Ago, many Benin will know what is Ago. We had Ago in our village. Ago is a settlement part of the village, in the edges of my village. The Urobos from Delta State and the Isokos lived in the Agos. They settled there. And they probably be there before even, before many of my great-great-grandparents. You understand what I'm saying now? They had lived there very long, and they now have a very big Ago community in my village. When I was a teenager, the Odiowere, the paramount ruler of my village at that time, and of course the what's it called, the Edions, the elders, now indoctrinated some of the elders of the Urobo community that live in the Agos into the elders council of my village. So when I got home after the indoctrination, I asked my dad, why would they do that? These guys are settlers. My dad told me that the elders in council in my village resolved that these guys have lived long enough in this land that there's the need to also absorb them into, the governance of the land, more or less. And that is why they had to now make some of them audience as well, giving them very limited powers to also be part of what the process is contributing towards the overall development of the village and the community. I did frown at that time. And I said to my dad, look, 100 years from now, these Urobos, these Agos, are going to be dragging this land with our, kindred. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that is probably going to happen. I just, whether I was sensible at that time or not, I don't know. You understand the picture from saying, but I said that tradition has continued. Some of the elders of the Urobo community that live in the Ago part of my village now are being regularly indoctrinated into the elders council. And all of that. And I don't know if that is also that also operates in other villages in and around that enclave. And I'm also liking that situation right now to the present one. Now, are my village elders going to ever chase those Urobos away from that region? I'm not sure. I'm sure no. You understand? But those guys they've built a community there. They have farmlands. They do everything. Their children also consider themselves as part of the village. But we know that they are settlers in the village. And that is the case right now with these Ijaws. A people who just live by the riverine parts of this region. And they came to the riverine part of Edo State, around Gelegele, Uwoto, and all of those areas. They settled there. I don't know the history. I don't know how many, tens or hundreds of years they've lived, their ancestors have lived there, had children, they've built communities and large communities and all of that. But does that make them owners of the land? No. The land belongs to the people. The land belongs to the Beninese. The land belongs to, it's in the custody of the Oba of Benin. And the court has so ruled. And the court's judgment has also been affirmed by the Supreme Court. So I will advise that there is no need for these noisy agitations by the Ijaws. Rather, I would expect wisdom to rule, for them to negotiate their way into political relevance in the state. Does the Oba have rights to, collect rents from them? Of course, the Oba does have a right if he so desires to. The Beninese have right to collect rent and tenancy because the Supreme Court, call them tenants. Most other, people call them settlers. So I think it should be established, even though they are going to live there forever, it should be established that this land that they live, that they have always lived, is not their land. It's not their land. The land belongs to the kingdom. Until such a time when they themselves get to a point, it may not be in this lifetime, maybe generations after now, get to a point in time where they are fully absorbed. They no longer segregate themselves to say they are jaws of a Edo state, like it's a state existing within a state. No, until they themselves begin to call themselves indigenous of Edo state. The Esan people of Edo state today are owners of the land. The Afemai people of Edo state today are owners of the land. They are not treating themselves like they are a state inside a state. The Esan people are Edo state indigenes. The Afemai Esako people are Edo state indigenes. The Beninese are Edo state indigenes. I think the Ijaws should gravitate towards absorbing themselves fully as indigenous of Edo state, so that these lines will be blurred. To say, oh, we are Ijaws, we own the land. Are we saying are you beginning to call it a just state in Edo state? Because somehow, what has limited, from my own understanding, having looked at the argument, what has limited the Ijaws, settlers in the Gelegele region of Edo state today, is their own seclusion. I think they need to start acting a lot better so that their great-grandchildren, in their own time, when they grow up, after another 2, 3, 4 generations from now, will no longer be seen as just settlers, but rather will be seen as also indigenous of Edo state. That is what they should fight for. But that land, as it is, by every reasonable and valid argument, Gelegele Gbene, Gelegele, Ugoton, all of those areas, as a land, belongs to the Beninese under the custodianship of the Oba of Benin. It must be clear. And I do think that if things are managed properly along the line, there will be cause for the Ijaws and, of course, the Beninese and everybody who reside in Edo State, the territorial integrity of Edo State, to call themselves brothers and sisters. Because at the end of the day, there is nobody that is going to die in this world and take any part of this world with him or her. but as a way of identifying what is to be identified. This is his true position right now as it is. I just thought I also add my little voice to this matter. Please share if you could. God bless you all. Bye for now. It is a Comrade show, don't forget.
The Comrade Show.
Thank you all for watching, my lovely people. Do not forget to leave your comment for comment section. Share the video, like the video, and also subscribe if you never subscribe. See you all for my next upload, guys. Bye.